This one's going to be intercepted by Christian Fulton. Throws. Is it intercepted? Very close to it. Christian Fulton.
They create turnovers. That time, Fulton.
He has not been targeted a lot, but Christian Fulton.
Almost kicked. It was off the hands of Christian Fulton.
Braylon Sanders could not bring it down. Christian Fulton.
Good evening and welcome along to the show, guys. We have all the nations represented tonight, and I'm stepping into the host chair, so you get to hear a lot more from the lovely lucid tones of Mr. Mike Polland over there in Wales. We've Graham joining us from Scotland, and of course our co-founder and pretty boy from the north, Mr. Jamie Smith.
First time I've been called that, but I'll take it, Brian.
So hope you all enjoyed that Christian Fulton highlight clip that Mike put together there for you all before we came in. Just going to have a little news round, and today's show we're going to do a full mock draft for the first round. So we're going to have no trades, and each of us are going to take every fourth pick. So there's a little clue in there about something about all of us as individuals in how we decided to run this draft. So starting the news round, obviously today we had the Hall of Fame game announced, and we are involved, and we're playing the Steelers. So anyone have any feeling about that?
An extra game is always good. It's more Cowboys.
It's another cushion for Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Just to get an extra game. I mean, I don't know if it. They all say, pre-season it's not really full go, but an extra game can always. You never know. You might see Sunday might flash. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. You should still be at the 90-man roster limit at that stage. So
yeah,
I'm probably going to go against the grain here. I find it awfully boring, the Hall of Fame game. Regardless if we're in it, I look forward to the ceremony itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing to take away from it. Yeah, the ceremony is probably more fun than the actual game itself. I mean, more than anything, the game is more just like the cherry on the top, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just in Cowboy related news, we had Adam Redmond re-signed last night, and the Cowboys have used their club option, and Jameez Olawale will be returning. So I don't think there's anything major in either of those re-signings. Just adding a bit of depth to the squad, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they like you say, they're depth fillers for now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It strikes of them signing a deal to get on a roster.
Yeah.
If they don't sign a deal and hit free agency, they could disappear effectively.
Yeah. With the way things are going as well.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, during the season when we were talking, I think it was Jane was talking to us. She was saying that I think it was at the trade deadline that Adam Redmond was possibly going to be traded towards the Pats. So maybe that's the plan, is just to have him under contract, that we can get something of a trade during the draft, maybe, because our O-line is fairly stacked. So I can't see Redmond getting a lot of game time, and maybe that's the plan.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump into a full mock draft, as we said. Unfortunately, Ari Temkin from 105.3 The Fan was supposed to join us, but unfortunately, just before we got on the call, he was called in for an emergency. So Ari is going to join us next week instead, and by that stage, the free agency will have opened. We should have a bit of update on the new CBA, so we should be able to talk all things that at that stage. So
yeah, we'll have plenty of news by then. Our mailbag of like a dozen questions will go times 10 to like 120 questions.
Absolutely. So anything in the next few days you're looking forward to on that, or we just move straight into the draft? All right.
I'm gonna stick with my position. I think we lose Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I think somebody will pay him silly money. I think Byron Jones will go because he's our top corner. They'll get Dak done. No doubt they'll get Dak done. But already we're on the back foot. It's a little bit worrying, but
I mean, my only take with free agency is I think the more I completely given up on the draft in terms of tight end. I watched a couple more bits of game tape on some guys further on down the draft for tight end, and I lost the will to live. So I literally say in that when you look as well at the type of tight ends that are coming out, you can go premium with Austin Hooper, you can go somewhere in the middle with Eric Ebron, or somewhere right down the bottom with somebody like Hunter Henry. I say right down the bottom because he's a great football player. He's just injury prone. So I think free agency for the Cowboys is the way to go for tight end rather than look to the draft. It's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this yourself, Jamie? Anyone you're interested in keeping, retaining, or hopefully bringing in?
I think it's more the fact who's going to go in it, and there's speculation rife, and I think it's probably going to help more with this. Obviously, with this new CBA coming in, and it sounds like the tag is going to be extended to Monday, so I think that's going to help get Dak done. So I think we could probably see potentially Amari being tagged. I don't think the Cowboys will let Dak go further. I think Byron Jones is probably going to go. You know what free agency is like. Stupid money gets thrown around, and he's probably at the top end of the defensive backs that's going to be available. So sadly, I don't think we'll see him back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the regular saying is that average players go for good player money and good players go for superstar money in free agency. I can't see a lot of value in it for ourselves. I mean, I know we have a lot of cap room. Obviously, Dak is going to take up a huge portion of that with his new deal once it gets done. We do need to add players all over the place. For me, I'm always looking at the defensive backs. We need safety help. We need cornerback help. And we obviously need help with defensive tackle because we're paper thin there. But let's jump into the main point of today, and let's start with a full mock draft. So I'm going to kick off the draft run. Graham will be next in line, followed by Mike, and then Jamie has the last pick.
And explain to us, why is it that order, Brian?
Well, we're going to throw that over to all of our viewers and see if they can come up with the reason why this is the running order.
That's a cop out, is that?
Yeah. I'm imagining that the fact that we've said that has probably given them a good guess as to why.
There you go. Well, if you're going to push me into it, despite my very youthful looks, I'm actually the oldest member of the quartet here. So I'm hitting 40 in May. There's going to be a mighty big session here in Ireland for it. There might even be a bank holiday or two required, especially for it. There'll be no coronavirus issues with it, other than a lot of Corona being drank. But yes, I've been told there's actually going to be a national holiday just because I'm 40.
There we go. Well, we'll make the flight. We'll make the flight over, mate.
Excellent.
I was hoping that we were going to do the mock draft order in order of the Six Nations, but clearly we've fallen away from that one. I had to get it in. I'm sorry, Bri.
Why are you saying it to me? You beat Wales at the weekend.
But you're repping your boys, so I had to pick on you.
Okay, what can I say? I've no excuse with that. You know, other than the fact my players don't grab people by the load.
It's just big changes.
Yes, absolutely. So we're gonna, in my best Roger Goodell impression, the 2020 Dallas Cowboys mock draft is now open. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and with the first pick, unsurprisingly, they pick Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU. I don't think this needs any explanation at all from anyone. They are moving on from Andy Dalton. Burrow, without doubt, is the best quarterback in this class. I wouldn't regard him as best player, but when your team needs a quarterback and you have the first pick overall, you take a quarterback. So it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely slam dunk, and Joe Burrow goes number one. So we're throwing it over to the general manager of the Washington Redskins, Mr. Graham Wilson.
Well, the Bengals will take maybe 8 minutes to send their card in. Well, who's going to be? They love the cinema. They love the drama. The Redskins will do exactly the same. I reckon about the 7:30-minute mark. With the second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young.
Yeah.
Best player in the draft.
Yeah.
Fills a need. Slam dunk. Run the card up to the podium after you've had your moment in the sun, and go from there. I think he's a surefire best player in the draft, and he goes after QBs as well, which always helps. So, yeah, I'm not gonna. That's it, plain and simple. The Detroit Lions are on the clock.
Yeah, the only bugger of that is I completely agree with you that they take Chase Young. The only bugger is that means we've got to face him twice a year.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, anyway, I'm not with the Cowboys. I'm currently with the Lions. And I think screaming out straight away for the Lions, if there's any team that needs a cornerback in this draft next to the Cowboys, it's the Lions. Hoo-ha about them taking quarterback, I think, solely depends on whether Matt Stafford's back injury is truly as bad as they're making out. But I think that's applied to try and make Miami come up, to make them trade up. But I don't think that's the case. So, in that case, no matter what happens, whether they stay as they are or they trade down, the Lions take cornerback from Ohio State, Jeffrey Okudah, prospect of the decade. And I mean, this guy is a beast. 5-star prospect. I mean, the list of accolades go on. I mean, I give scoring on for each prospect just to break it down easily, and he's literally a 9 or a 10 in each category. So for the Lions, it fills a hole, and it is definitely what I feel they should do at this moment, and instantly bolsters the defense. But apart from that, I think, yeah, that's the way they go. So leading on, I give it now to Jamie with a very favourable Giant.
Yeah. Well, I was tempted to draft bottom in the NFC East, but they'd been taken. So to be fair, the Giants sitting there at 4, you could go quite a few ways. The defense is pretty shocking. Offense is, you could probably say, it's pretty much the same. It was tempting here, to be fair, to actually go wide receiver just for the fact that they've taken their quarterback for the future last year. But what's the point of having a go-to receiver if you can't keep him off his backside. So I'm going to go a bit boring, I think. I'm going to go Tristan Wills, the offensive tackle from Iowa.
I like it. No, I like it.
Just for the fact he's a bit of a mean guy, like you're saying. It's you generally, if you're going for a rebuild, you take your quarterback for the future. The next thing you want to do is you want to get him some protection. So it's probably the smart way to go.
Definitely. I will get you. You can take any one of the top 4 offensive tackles at this point. Wirfs is probably a guy, though, that you could kick inside if needed be, depending on what the Giants really want to do.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I would do, mate. Like you say, they just went out and spent a first-round pick the year before on a quarterback. He had issues with the ball coming out of his hands, getting fumbled. A lot of it is because he's got an offensive line that are just soggy paper bags.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than your franchise running for his life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we all know, being obviously with the Cowboys and what it's like with Romo, every time you used to see a pass rusher screaming around the edge at him, the first thing you do is just literally hold your breath for the next 10 seconds.
Oh, God, yeah.
Even my collarbone started to hurt.
Or is that just because of all the hugs? So that means it's back round to you, Mr. Bryan.
So running back round to me, and we have the Dolphins on the clock again, and it's not going to be any surprise here. I think the Dolphins are going to take Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama. I know he will not play next year. He will redshirt the year. The Dolphins do have Josh Rosen. They do have Ryan Fitzmagic there to cover for the fact he needs a redshirt year. It also allows them a chance to tank even further, and they have, as we say, they have 2 other picks in this first round to try and improve their team as well. So I think it just gives them the full year to heal up.
Yeah,
it's a slam dunk for me.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? I think apart from probably the top 2, I think the only shock of that is I don't think they'll take him there. I think they'll try and move up. That'd be the only thing I would probably say.
I do get a feeling that at the moment they're playing it cool, but we all know what it's like on the day. Especially, the bright lights of Vegas hit these GMs in the eye, and they start getting beat. Do you know what I mean? There are other teams who are quarterback hungry. Are they going to be a bit worried about the Lions or even the Redskins? I can't see the Redskins doing it, but there is a possibility. I was listening to an interview today, and it had Terrell Owen in it and another wide receiver talking, and they run routes for Tua, and they said that they were surprised at how amazing his accuracy was, and they were running some hard routes.
Yeah,
it was quite interesting.
I think the Tua pick is going to be dependent on what the Chargers do at 6. Are the Chargers going to try and make the jump into 3, which is mooted by a lot of people? And even if they do make the jump into number 3, are they actually going to take Tua, or will they pick the guy who I think will be Graham's pick at number 6? So we'll throw it over to him.
Yeah, go on then. Let's see what happens here.
Well, like what you guys are saying, I think I would be surprised if the Chargers didn't take a long time over this pick, because there's a few things they could do here. They could effectively move down. By then, they could have got, say, throwing it out there. Say they get Bridgewater, serviceable QB.
Yeah.
Take, or I don't know. They might get an offer. The phone always rings, I think, in the top 10. But I think Brian is absolutely correct with his prediction. With the 6th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Mekhi Becton.
Oh, that's my guy. I absolutely love Becton. And then what you've seen him do in in the combine. For a guy who is like 4 of me, he ran a 40 probably faster than me. So, like, how that is humanly possible, I don't know. But, yeah, I love that pick. I really
It's
do.
like they say, he's a freak of nature.
He is.
I imagine that the Chargers will have their QB by now. For me, the Chargers, you're looking O-line, maybe get their QB covered by Bridgewater. I mean, there's all sorts of Brady chat to the West Coast and so on. I think he lives there. So it's a crazy situation. Me personally, I think Brady will stay in New England. I think it would be far too strange at this point. I think he's just enjoying a bit of drama at the moment. And they could possibly look at cornerback. That would have been my only thought. Jeff Okudah. It could have gone there if he hadn't gone off the board. But yeah. Keep QB on his feet. You've just picked a freak of nature for the next 10 years. It's going to cover your QB. So yeah, run that pick up to the podium. Definitely Becton.
Yeah. I love it. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah. Like for me, I've been watching Becton go up the board, and I don't know whether I'm imagining things, but there's a whole lot of Tyron Smith appeal about the guy.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
Tyron just kept going up and up and up the board in his draft class, and it was an amazing pickup by us to get him when we did. So I can see the same happening with this guy. He's just so big.
And I can see the Chargers doing something similar to what the Cowboys done, where over the next couple of years, they go offensive line, taking the big hitters each year. Not rushing into it, taking your time, but using those top picks to strengthen the O-line and get it stronger. Yeah. So, yeah, I like the pick.
But just the last point, I would be surprised if the Chargers went QB because I'm not sure in their stadium situation, but in LA they have to win.
Yeah.
They don't have 2-3 years. They're playing in a soccer stadium last I heard, so
yeah, they were.
They don't have time to break somebody in. It's not in that market.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So my pick next for the Panthers?
For the Panthers.
It is me, isn't it?
It is you.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's all right. I'm having a funny 5. Okay, so the Panthers, I think probably with the board, the way that this board is sat, if I was the Panthers right now, I'd be trading down. This is how I would do it. Trade down because the pick I'm going to make wouldn't make sense here, but I'm going to make it anyway because it makes the most sense for them. But if they traded down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for the Panthers at the moment, as it stands, I mean, their defense is probably like maybe one of the worst in the NFL at the moment. It's very shoddy. So I'm always a firm believer that you start a defense from the front and work back. So what I'm going to do at this stage is do exactly what the Cowboys could do and go defensive line. And since he's the top guy, and he's a decent 3-tech, which fits obviously the mold for the Panthers and what they're going to be trying to do, I'm going to take the top defensive tackle in this year's draft, Mr. Derek Brown. And take that up and start building my defensive line and building from the front to the back.
I tell you what, just with that pick, I know you're saying, you potentially trade down. I've seen a lot of mocks taking him at 7.
Okay.
Top 5 talent.
Yeah,
like you say, you've got to build a defense somewhere. So now, why not in that position?
Yeah, I think when I say trade down, I'm not trading down very far. I'm just looking to get a bit more value in my pick. Maybe the lowest I would go is the Browns at 10th. I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't want to trade out of the top 10. I mean, you could, because I can't see the Jets doing it. I can't see the Raiders going down that road. Yeah. So you could trade out of the top 10, but I think I'd rather stay there and just get a bit more value for that pick. But either way, you're getting the best defensive tackle in this year's draft. And the guy is an animal.
if you're willing to trade back there, you've like you say, if the Chargers go the way Graham went, you know what I mean, there's QB still on the board there. Someone would be tempted to jump to 7 and take the guy from Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other option. You could trade back, and then look to take either Herbert or even Jordan Love. I mean, because from what I've heard, the reports of Cam staying in Carolina is iffy, should we say, at best. But moving on from that, we'll go back to the NFC West with Jamie and look at the Cardinals pick.
I feel for some reason, I don't know. I'm being sensible with these two picks. This is obviously the second pick I have.
Sensible's good. I like sensible. You forget I was in the military. I like things square.
But the Cardinals, they just like the Giants, they could potentially go in a few directions. But Kyler Murray was sometimes last year was left on his own here. So you've taken your franchise QB. Next thing, as Sandra Bullock said in The Blind Side, first is you know what I mean. Then next you take out the insurance. So I'm taking Jared. I'm going to get his name right. I'm going to get Willis, a tackle from Alabama.
Yeah, Jedrick Willis.
Okay.
Jedrick Willis. That's it. I put my teeth back in.
No. I like that pick. And the same again. Like what's funny is all the offensive tackles this year, the top 4 are like literally on my board are in like the top 15.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with it. These guys, there is no way they'd even get to the Cowboys. These guys are quality tackles. And as we were mentioning, some you can even kick to guard if needed be. But I don't think that do with any of the ones we've picked so far. I mean, I again love the pick.
Yeah.
They're at a premium this year, so they're going to go early.
Yeah.
They are going to go early.
Yeah, I'd fully agree with Graham on that. I mean, as I say, I'm next on the clock with the Jaguars. They're in a similar position. Obviously they've made the decision that they are going to go with Gardner Minshew as their QB1 for next season. So again, it makes sense here to go towards offensive tackle. But for me, there's a big, wide open player who I have said I think is the second best player in the draft. I draft best player available, and I am taking Isaiah Simmons. I can't believe he's got this far already. It's again, for me, it's a slam dunk. It's a no-brainer. You got to do it. The guy, as I say, I think he's the second best player in this draft class. He can do it all. Back 7 positions. He can cover them all. Dick Butkus award winner this year. Switched from safety in to win the Dick Butkus award. What can the guy not do?
I considered him for the Giants, to be fair. That wouldn't surprise me if he went that high.
Yeah. I mean, when you even look at it, the Jags, the pieces that they're missing, like linebacker, safety. I mean, there's a guy who can do both in one. But, more than anything, what the Jags are missing is a playmaker, and that is exactly what the what Simmons is. He's a playmaker. No matter what he does, what position they decide to play him at, he's just a playmaker. He's a guy who stops. He stops the running back. He stops tight ends. He stops slot corners. Slot corners. Slot running back.
Slot receivers.
I get it. I'll get in the right position in a minute. But yeah, totally bang on, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. It was too good a value to pass up at that stage. As Jamie called it out there, and it's the player I've seen in most mock drafts is Simmons goes at 4 to the Giants. But then, as Jamie said, you have a new franchise quarterback. You got to keep the guy standing, and Tristan Wirfs made sense as well. Yeah. And if it's me, I'm looking at this from an NFC East point of view and a Dallas Cowboys point of view, and I'm going, Chase Young's already in the division. I don't want to be facing Isaiah Simmons as well.
Yeah. Things are just getting tougher.
Yeah. So we'll throw it over to Graham, who is now on the clock with pick number 10 for the Cleveland Browns.
This is quite a tough, with the way this board is. This is quite a tough little pick.
This is the poison chalice, this pick, isn't it?
Yeah. So this basically, if this was to go this way in the actual draft, the Browns right now, I think I'm trading down because if I had to stay at 10 with this pick, I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do here?
Go, be bold, go kicker.
Monster!
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to build my QB a statue. And then, did you hear that story? The Browns are building him a statue.
They're building him a statue.
No, it's Oklahoma building him a statue, aren't they?
I thought it was the Browns.
No, it's
Browns.
Oklahoma. It's going to be unveiled at their spring game.
For the Heisman. Maybe I obviously we're not big on the Browns, so right, okay. Maybe, well, you could build one. The Browns could build one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's face it, they've done far worse. Yeah, this is a tough one. Because we've had a run on O-line. It's a little bit high for safety. Simmons is gone.
Yeah. It's got to be. For me, you just mentioned what I would do. Because it's the last one out the bunch.
Just sell the team.
If they could get their offense into gear, because they do have a decent wide receiver core. It just hasn't clicked. I mean, there was that ridiculous chat in the summer that the Browns were off to the Super Bowl. What a load of nonsense. Too high for running back.
Yeah. You literally you have to look really. I think is tackle or linebacker is the only way that this could go.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Goodness. Is that phone ringing yet? No.
Yeah.
You could always do a Vikings, Graham, and you could miss the pick by mistake.
Yeah. That's always plan C.
Jerry, it's the Browns. You like a splash, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's go with the 10th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Cleveland Browns select Patrick Queen, linebacker, LSU. It's a little bit high.
It is a bit.
But we're not trading, obviously.
Yeah.
They have a series. If they can get Greg Robinson re-signed, it makes a difference, at least for this year. Because as I say, I don't know if I would go that high on any of the remaining tackles. I see Andrew Thomas claiming a lot of boards.
That's where I would have gone.
Yeah, but they'll be hoping to get Robinson done. If they can get Robinson done, it means they can supplement elsewhere. And like you say, you build from the front. So it's a little bit high for safety. So yeah, let's go with Patrick Queen.
Yeah. Listen, I like the guy. He is super athletic. You saw that in the combine too.
Yeah.
But when you just look at the traits, he's got everything that you expect to see to be an every down defensive playmaker in the NFL. His biggest knockback, I suppose, the thing that people panic with Queen is the fact that he's only played 16 games. He's literally only played this year. And that's the panic. But everything that you saw in that was what you'd want to see for taking a first-round linebacker.
He's possibly a little bit undersized as well, but I think these things can be fixed.
Yeah.
When you get into the NFL kind of diet and routine and so on, can bulk up a little bit.
And he's got the ability. When you look at his frame, he's got room to grow on that frame.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the NFL, the New York Giants are on the clock.
The Jets. The Jets.
Jets.
Doesn't matter.
Sorry, that was going to be breaking news for a minute there. The Giants have made a splash.
Yeah. The both suck anyway, so it don't really matter.
So I mean, so we've got obviously an issue with the Jets, with that we don't know what's quite happening with Robbie Anderson, whether he stays or whether he goes. And I think what they decide in that war room to do with Anderson depends on what they do with his pick. If he stays, it's not wide receiver. If he goes, it's wide receiver, and it's going to be, I would say, Jerry Jeudy. But we're playing off the premise, I think, that he stays for now. Anyway, it'll probably change. My mind will probably change by the end of this show. But I'm going to say that he stays. So I'm going to go with a guy who we've already mentioned. I'm going to go with offensive tackle Andrew Thomas. Because the three have gone off, I'm getting itchy feet now, because the rest of the guys, Prince Tager, Austin Jackson, the rest of them, these are all guys who they're developmental tackles, and you don't take that in the first round. So I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas because he's the last of the first bunch of tackles, first round worthy. The fact that the first three have gone off so quick, I don't know. If I was the Jets, I may trade up if I started to see the tackles coming off the board that quickly. But the fact we don't do trades means that can't happen. But yeah, Andrew Thomas for me, another guy who completely not just obliterated it on tape, but obliterated it at the combine as well. And a guy really who, if you look at it, had an amazing combine, but it was just overshadowed by the rest of the offensive tackle. Like, if you took the other guys out and you said, oh, yeah, this is Andrew Thomas's combine, everybody would be like, holy crap, look at that. And you'd be like, yeah, good numbers. But it's just overshadowed because of the fact that the other guys had just such a mind-blowing combine as well. But, yes, for me, the Jets, in this case, they've got itchy feet, went offensive tackle, and took the last good one at the bunch, or first round worthy bunch out of the lot.
The big question I have out of this though is, will Sam Darnold still be seeing ghosts next season?
Yeah, I know, yeah. But and that's the reason, the thing that sticks in my mind why I take tackle. You know, the fact that he's saying things like, you know, I'm seeing ghosts, you know, basically what he's saying is his line isn't doing his job, and I don't know what the hell is going on. You know, I'm seeing blindside blocks missing their man. You know, and he's getting itchy feet over there. So yeah, let's build up that line, protect, keep him on his feet. He's supposed to be the savior of that franchise. So yeah, but now it's over to Jamie, and he's in the Las Vegas. I've got used to practicing this. The Las Vegas Raiders.
See, your pick kind of shocked me, Mike, because if you would have gone the way I was thinking you was going to go, then I would have been straight to the podium with my pick. But you deviated from receiver, so now I have to take my whole allotted time because the two options that I would have liked to have been there are there. And you can make a case for both, but I'm definitely not gonna go quarterback. I think they're gonna give Carr at least one more year. But because of the way the Jets decided to kind of play it safe and go with protecting their franchise quarterback, the Raiders now get arguably the best wide receiver dropped to them at 12. So I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma.
I like it.
The Bellagio goes wild.
Jamie, as a fellow Longhorns fan, I can't believe you actually had the balls to say that.
Oh, it was painful. Don't get me wrong. When I've done, I'm gonna go throw up, and tweet Colin Johnson and apologise. And Duvernay as well.
I mean, I like the pick. At the end of the day, they literally had, like, who did they have catching passes last year in Oakland? Is missing playmakers over there. So
I
big
think
time
wasn't it Darren Waller was their biggest receiver last year, and he's a tight end who they picked up off the street.
Yeah.
So,
I think because they've got that many picks as well, and with how deep this receiver class is, it wouldn't actually surprise me in the real draft if you actually saw the Raiders maybe go a different way, and then with one of the later picks in the draft, move back a little bit and get a bit more stock, and take one maybe in the second, back end of the first, maybe somewhere in the second, and still get a top class receiver.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's back with me and on the clock for the Indianapolis Colts, and again I'm sitting here as a general manager. I'm not believing my luck and my eyes at what I see happening. I'm jumping for joy and delight when I see the name Jerry Jeudy sitting and still available for me. I mean, I agree with Jamie. You probably had the two best receivers left on the clock. I'll never say anyone from Oklahoma is the best at anything. It just goes against my principles as a Texas Longhorns fan. So I'd love to be reserved and take my time about this, but absolutely I'd run this straight up to the podium. Jerry Jeudy is the pick at 13, and we passed over to Graham at 14. Which should be a quite intriguing pick here with the Bucks. They could go any which way.
I have not lucked out on this, have I?
No. Well, I mean, it depends. What are you doing with Winston?
I'm sure. If it were me, I'm showing him door.
Yeah.
He's had his time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you look at what he was potentially wanting, to say that the guy was 50-50 in terms of interception to touchdown ratio, there's no way I would pay him $30, let alone $30 million.
Jamie, you have to be careful. There are some members of our much beloved group who are actually interested in getting Jameis Winston with a star on his helmet.
Okay.
But Graham is the general manager of the Bucks, so he's going to make this pick and decide if Winston is still in Tampa Bay.
Okay, so our offense, I can see you all. Our offense needs a big arm. Arians likes the ball over the top offense. Right, here we go. With the 14th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State.
Interesting. I actually wrote
And
down.
they keep Winston on the tag.
Ooh.
Okay, I see what you're doing there. Okay, interesting.
Because I don't know if I would play Love to start off. I think he has the size and the arm strength to run the offense, but he's a little bit low down to throw in day one. And I just wonder if Winston becomes the guy that Arians wants him to be, you've got trade bait there and Jordan Love with a year in an NFL offense. So I'm keeping Winston on the tag because we have the money available.
Yeah.
And I'm taking Jordan Love.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have we all know it's been said for a long time, if you don't have a QB, you're not winning anything. So, but I wouldn't throw him in for. I know that I can hear the chants from the stand right now. Love, 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 love. But I'll listen to it in October, maybe even November.
All right. So I got the Broncos next, and mine is really, really easy. Broncos are missing speed on offense. I don't need to say it. You're taking Henry Ruggs. There you go. that was easy. Yeah, straight to it. I don't need to explain anymore. Fastest guy out there. Yeah, so there you go. Instantly helps that offense. So over to you, Jamie. I don't really need to explain any more on that. It's as easy as that.
This one is it's a bit tough because
no,
if
I know exactly where I would go, yeah, because he's the only guy you could take at this point.
I think, and I know what you mean, but if I go the other way, the guy who I would love to see potentially the Cowboys take is going to be off the board. But I think, like I said, I've got to play with my GM head here. Falcons go Fulton from LSU.
Ooh, I like it. That's not where I would have gone, but I like it.
Would just to kind of not give away who I would potentially have gone from, but would your pick have been from the same school?
Yes, it would have.
Yeah.
Basically, I would have gone defensive end and gone Chase on.
That's
because he's the only other defensive end pass rusher that's worthy of first round. After that, Epinesa, I'm not even sure. Chris Matos, I'm not sure, but he's good. He's developmental though. So yeah, that would be where I would have gone. Start the front and work back. But the way you've gone, we like him that much. He was our intro. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I say it's sometimes tempting when you do these things to go, do you know what? Actually, I'll let a guy that I'd love to see the Cowboys take.
Yeah,
drop.
yeah.
And it was just, he's got the potential to be a shutdown corner. I think that's probably just a little bit too tempting for the Falcons to let go.
Oh, and I just looked at who's available for the next pick.
So
Brian,
before we get into this, for the listeners, can we have a run through halfway through the draft? Can we have a run through of the picks?
So we're just going to have a dramatic pause.
I love it.
Dramatic pause. The cloth has gone over the camera in the Dallas Cowboys war room. And let's recap the first 16 picks. So pick number 1, Joe Burrow, LSU quarterback, has gone to Cincinnati. Chase Young, Ohio State edge, has gone to the Redskins. Jeff Okuda, Ohio State cornerback, has gone to Detroit. Tristan Wirfs, Ohio, has gone to the Giants. Tua Tagovailoa has gone to the Dolphins. Mekhi Becton from Louisville has gone to the Chargers. Derek Brown, Auburn defensive tackle, has gone to the Panthers. Jedrick Willis, Alabama, the Cardinals. Isaiah Simmons, Clemson at the Jaguars. Patrick Queen, LSU, has gone to the Cleveland Browns. Andrew Thomas, Georgia, has been assigned the Jets. CeeDee Lamb from some school in the middle of nowhere has signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. Jerry Jeudy, Alabama, has gone to the Colts. Jordan Love, Utah State, the Buccaneers. Henry Ruggs III, Alabama, has gone to the Broncos. Christian Fulton from LSU has gone to the Falcons. And the cloth has been removed. There's very stern-looking faces in the Cowboys war room. I'm getting looks from Will McClay, getting looks from Stephen, Jerry Jr. Charlotte has a big smile on her face behind my back, and I'm about to hand in the pick.
Here we go, Cowboys. Here we go. Here we go, Cowboys. Here we go.
With the 17th pick in the UK Cowboys mock draft, the Dallas Cowboys select defensive tackle from South Carolina,
Yes!
Javon Kinlaw.
Yes.
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 Great pick.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely.
Another guy who we run an intro for on one of our shows. I mean, the guy is just crazy athletic, man. I mean, what can you say about him?
He's an absolute game wrecker.
Yeah, he's an animal. Great pick. I mean, he solves so many problems straight away. Just by having him there. Huge anchor, great tackling. He can pass rush, good run defensive. But mainly, you know, it's his strength. Huge anchor. Just a massive anchor in the middle, which is what the Cowboys were missing.
Yeah.
Taking away from what we're doing here in the draft, would that be the pick you would like to see? Is he your top pick for who's potentially going to be around 17, or are you guys kind of hoping it could be somebody else? Who would be your preferred pick if you could pick anybody around that area?
But before he went, I would have taken Christian Fulton. I'd take Fulton over Kinlaw. Only because Byron Jones.
Yeah. Like, I think if the board falls like this on the night, we know there's going to be some crazy picks in there.
Yeah.
Because you have the Raiders at 12, and they could pick a long snapper. You just don't know. You know, that there'll be 2 or 3 players that we want. Me personally, I want us to go for that defensive tackle. Just get that middle anchored up. As we say, the guy's big enough. If they want to play 3-4 and they want to go with an outside linebacker, Kinlaw is the guy that can play nose tackle. And he's the guy that can fit in there. You still have DeMarcus Lawrence, and I don't know who's going to be our other choice at defensive end. You know, but you still have a lot of impactful guys who can rush off the edge from linebacker. I mean, Jalen did it a lot back in the Notre Dame days. So I would still go with Kinlaw, but I agree, if it's a cornerback and it's replacing Byron Jones, I still think you have to do it.
That'd be the way I would go. With the way that this board has gone, I'd make the exact same pick.
We talk about players falling, you know, like top 10 talents falling to 20th odd in the draft, but there's only so many picks. Somebody's going to fall. Somebody's going to fall someday, and somebody will squeeze out of where they're supposed to be. And goodness, I would love that pick. That would be a slam dunk. Get that in after 30 seconds, Jerry. Don't even think about it.
Yeah.
See, I think the only other...
I wouldn't even budge off that pick. At that point, I wouldn't trade up. I wouldn't trade down. If the board's going that way, I'd just be standing my ground waiting for the board to come to me at that point.
Yeah. I think the only other 2 I even looked at was Chasen from LSU or even McKinney, but I don't think we'd take safety that high. But like I say, if Kinlaw's there, I'm running it in. I think I always have a couple of favourites every time in the draft, and he's one of my favourites in this draft.
I mean, if Kinlaw, because there are other teams that could take Kinlaw ahead of us, maybe slightly if they've fallen in love with him. So at that point, you've still got Gallimore that you could fall back on. He's maybe not much as an anchor. He's a lot more mobile. But I think he could do just as good a job, and he's just as a good pick in the first round.
Yeah.
But what's more interesting is who's fallen to the Dolphins at this point.
Right, okay.
Screaming at you.
Right. I'm going to take the listeners back in time a little bit to September. I absolutely slaughtered the Dolphins front office for trading away Micah Fitzpatrick. I thought it was a disgraceful thing to do because you have men and women that have spent good money on season tickets only to trade away a first-round talent for a first-round pick and you're not actually getting anywhere because it's going to take a bit of talent to replace him, or a high draft pick to replace him anyway. So, with the 18th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Xavier McKinney, safety.
Ooh.
Wow. That's an interesting pick. But a guy we've spoken about, obviously, safety being a position of need for the Cowboys as well. He's just a big hitter. I know he has, on tape you see it where there's the missed tackles. But I mean, this guy had probably one of his best games against, this year in 2019. This year against LSU. He had one of his best games against them. Great cover skills, good agility, fast, but just powerful. Just a heavy hitting safety. I think they'd have to use him as a free safety though in Miami.
Yeah, with other positions you could consider. You could possibly go for tackle. I mean, I know they got rid of the left tackle, but there's nothing there. There's nothing, especially at left tackle. We've got.
And also,
Graham,
it depends what they're doing with running back as well. I mean, we had no run, so they could have gone running back.
I'm just going to jump in here and say, Graham, don't forget you also have the next Dolphins pick.
I mean, with running back, it goes back to the story. Unless you're getting a premium talent, you can wait. So they tend to be, a kind of top 10 talent like Zeke, for instance, or they're a dime a dozen a lot of the times. And I think you can find running backs in the later rounds. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So throwing it over to Mike, who's now up again with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, so their first pick, they went CD Lamb, holstering the offense. So I'm going to go the other way and holster the defense. Wide receiver, a luxury pick. So I'm going to do the same on the defense with a luxury pick. And this time they're going to go and help their box with a linebacker. And they're going to take Oklahoma's Kenneth Murray.
That is not the pick I expected.
Yeah. A very rangy linebacker, but the big thing that he's good at is he's got good vision, but he's an unbelievable tackler. Huge range when it comes to it. His only issue is that he goes full speed at everything. So sometimes he does need to gear down. And you see him with sometimes he's committing at full speed. Whereas if he just learns to control himself and gear down, I think he won't run himself out of plays. But I think that's a good pick for them. Fills a hole. But on to the next pick. It's Jamie with another Jaguars pick.
And with the first pick, the Jaguars went with Isaiah Simmons. So
yeah,
I'm going to stick same side of the ball. They've been pretty garbage in the secondary since they got rid of Jalen Ramsey. So this card goes in pretty quick. CJ Henderson from Florida.
I like it. I mean, this guy is fast.
Yeah.
He is fast. Like, he's the Ruggs of the defense.
Yeah.
They say there's still a lot of good frontline help on the defense, but like you say, the pick earlier on, I mean, helps that kind of the linebacker. So it kind of affords you then to be able to say, well, we could look at maybe the defensive line a bit further in
Yeah.
the draft. Let's go out and get someone who is he going to be as good as what Ramsey is? Who knows? But he's got the potential. So let's go in. And he's a home boy, he's a Florida guy. So I think that it makes sense in terms of fan base as well. Let's say getting fans on side of, because a lot weren't happy when Ramsey went. Like I say, and they've not really replaced him since. So this is a good move for the Jags, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
Ooh,
But look who's
forfeit this
next on
pick
the, look
next.
who's next on
Forfeit
the
this
board,
pick.
though. Look at this one.
Oh,
Oh,
forfeit this pick.
This really is a heartbreaking pick. So somehow I ended up picking for some trash team, who I dare not mention their name. They're almost as bad as that other trash team I dared not talk about earlier. I think if it was a competition between the two of them to be the trashiest of trash teams, they'd both still be trash. So having said that, and coming out of the last season, their biggest need has probably been on the outside. They need receivers.
Yeah,
They really do. That Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert were their two largest receivers. They brought in a converted quarterback in Greg Ward Jr. at the end of the season to be their main wide receiver. So they get a premium pick here and pick up T. Higgins from Clemson.
Yeah, I like it. I think you can really go one of two ways. You can do that, or you could go for the pure speed and take Jalen Reagor. But basically, they just need speed. They need some speed. They need some legs. They need some catches. Because I mean, last season it was a slow offense.
So with that, we throw it over to Graham with the Buffalo Bills, who are coming along quite nicely as a project.
Yeah.
With a chance to add there's still a lot of good players on that board.
Yeah, and this is ideal for them, this particular type of draft. That this guy's fallen this far for them.
Yeah.
We mentioned him.
I did consider him for the pick I just made, but I'm not strengthening that trash team.
Yeah. No, I mean that could work for them. You know. But this is just a glaring need for the Bills.
Yeah.
We're putting him at the
if
pressure
it goes this way, this could start to upset the back end of the board here, couldn't it?
Yeah, you should start seeing teams jump here.
Yeah, you would. You're probably way before this.
Are we all doing a Mike Mayock here and actually tipping the pick?
Do you guys do something I don't? So anyway, join us next week to find out. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, with the 22nd pick in the NFL in the 2020 NFL draft, the Buffalo Bills select Justin Jefferson. That's you.
That works too. I would have gone Chase on, but I'm not going to dispute the pick. I mean, they need receivers too. Yeah.
This starts to where I said it starts to screw the back end of this board up, because I had him tabbed for one of my picks later on.
It's my pick. Look who I've got. Oh my god.
QB.
Yeah, QB.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. QB's the pick.
Now, here is the issue. At the moment, I've got the option here that Brady, he's like, 607 years old. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What's the guy doing? Justin Herbert is still on the board, right? And that is an ideal place for him to go as well. for Bill Belichick. He scores a winner here. But on the flip side, we still have available Cleavon Chason, which is another big need for them. So you're at a kind of crossroads here. But I think if we go off the premise that Brady leaves, so they want to get the next guy in, get things rolling, they're going to take quarterback Justin Herbert, who I quite like. We all know him. We all know the name. I think that's a solid pick for them. If it goes that way, I doubt it, because I think by this point, teams further on down would have traded up by the looks of it, and they would have got him. But yeah, in a vacuum, that's the way it goes. On to the Saints, Mr. Jamie.
Saints could go a few ways here. I'll give you the pick.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you who I would have potentially gone for. But I'll obviously then give you my reasoning for the pick. I'm going to go Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver from TCU.
I would have gone the exact same way, mate.
Very. I would have taken Jefferson if he was there. I know the Saints need a lot of help in the secondary. And I can't pronounce his name. I'm not even going to attempt it, but I was considered the guy, the cornerback from Auburn. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name.
Big Bonnie.
Yes, 10 out of 10 there, Brian. Yeah, apologies.
Yeah.
But you bring, it's pretty much nailed on. Breezy's coming back. After Thomas, do you really think that if the Saints are going to bring back Drew Brees, they're going to go into the season with Ted Ginn Jr. as number 2 receiver? I just don't think you do. You bring Brees back because you want to win a Super Bowl, so you've got to get him some ammunition, and that's the way I would go.
I would have gone Rieger. Personally, and he's speed. So you got Michael Thomas on one side, who's your possession style receiver, and then you've got speed on the outside. You've instantly got an animal of a receiving core now. A 1 and 2, crazy stuff.
You've really you've balanced out your offense as well. Do you know? I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Everyone knows after 140 million catches by Michael Thomas last year. I mean, they can't go into the season and have him being catching that many balls. I think I saw a clip at the weekend or something on Twitter about Michael Thomas is a great guy to get you 7 yards from 1st and 10, and he's a great guy to get you 7 yards on 3rd and 17. So, but I think Mike threw the monkey wrench there, because for me, I would have had Herbert if he was still on the board going to the Saints.
Ahead
of the Pats, But you couldn't deny that pick. I'm stepping in here at the Vikings, and I'm just looking, and I am seeing a lot of names on this board that I like.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do what the Vikings do and miss my pick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But no, I mean the standout name, and you can't get enough of these guys in the draft class, and we've spoken about him 3 or 4 times. His name has been mentioned. The Vikings select Cleavon Chason, edge rusher from LSU. It's just he's too good to pass up at this stage in the draft.
Yeah. And I mean, their defensive line is somewhere in need of a bit of help. And a great way to get that is get a guy screaming off the edge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're throwing it back to Mr. Graham Wilson with a
God, he's on the Dolphins again.
With second pick for the Dolphins. So the Dolphins have taken Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback with pick number 5, and they have taken Xavier McKinney at 18 from Alabama to play safety. So Graham, you're making the 3rd pick for the Dolphins.
Don't screw it up.
It's the Dolphins. It's going to be screwed up. But I mean, I think there's still a lot of great names on the board, you know.
I think personally, I'd be going running back.
Just out of interest, who did you think I was going to take the last time?
Last time? Well, I don't know. My memory doesn't.
It would have been an edge, maybe.
See, there's
For me, I'm going to say it. I thought you were going to take Jason. I thought it made too much sense at that position at that time that Jason was still on the board. I can't see him lasting till 25.
Nah, no way. I would have taken Chason. Yeah, you took McKinney. I've even written that, scribbled it out.
Yeah, I had it written down as well. I'm not gonna lie.
At this point, the fact that there's none taken, for me, I'd be looking at running back, especially with what's going on there in their backfield.
And Mike, I'm going to have to give you a warning now. Stop being like your namesake, Mr. Mayock.
Oh, sorry.
See, the problem with the Dolphins is like Kenyon Drake just never seemed to get going, and as soon as he got to Arizona, he took off. He scored a touchdown per game.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you know what? We need some offensive weapons. With the 26th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select DeAndre Swift, running back.
Nice.
Georgia.
I don't know why, but just with us kind of having a bit of laugh. I thought he was going to go wide receiver. just to
Do you know there's been some running wide receivers that really has?
I had written down Cole Kmet.
Yeah, oh.
Well, at the moment, the Dolphins' starting running back is Patrick Laird. So, take from that what you will. You know, that's what happens when you trade away your season.
Yeah.
So true. Okay. So now it's the Seahawks.
The Seahawks.
Man, like there's nobody on. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so they could do with one or two things here. Inside defensive line, because I'm not going to go offensive line, although that is something that they need. They could go edge, defensive end. So that is where I'm going to go. And I am, in fact, going to take Penn State's defensive end, Gross Matos.
I dislike you, Mike.
Why?
I dislike you. That was going to be my pick. That was going to be my pick for the Ravens.
I mean, they're in need of an edge. They're in need of an inside defensive line. You could say wide receiver. Their offensive line is bad, but the fact that your top four guys, I mean, after that, I'm not taking any of them in the first round because they're all developmental. The next four. So, yeah, it's going to have to be. That's the way I would do it for the Seahawks. So, yeah, now I'm going to hand it over to the Ravens and make Jamie do a bit of jiggery pokery.
Oh, gosh. Where to go?
Do you want that phone to ring, Jamie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If it was like this at this point, you've got to be trading down for the Ravens.
Because you've...
Right. Well, mind you, wait a minute. Go on.
Sorry, mate. Now, go on. I'm going to say a wise person said that you can never have too many pass rushers. So I'm just going to first. I'm gonna go.
I just immediately.
Marlon Davidson from Auburn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's probably the wrong thing to do, but I just keep thinking back to when we took Taco Charlton in this area.
Yeah.
But you can't judge one player by, today's standards. So, I would have gone Marlon Davidson as well.
Yeah. I don't hate the pick.
You just screwed my pick up there, Mike.
I know. I could tell it screwed you up, man. All right, so it's over to the Tytoons.
The Tytoons. So the Tytoons have a lot of needs. They have needs at edge, offensive tackle, offensive line, quarterback.
QB.
Because
You don't have a QB right now.
they don't have any QBs, and I know exactly who Graham was trying to push me towards, but he's definitely not the pick here. Not a chance. I am going to pick with the 29th pick of our draft. The Tennessee Titans select cornerback from Alabama, Trayvon Diggs.
I like it.
Just out of interest, Brian, what would you do at QB?
I would try and re-sign both of them, but not for the money they'll want. I'd let both of them test the market. I don't think either of them will get a market close to what they want. So I'd say, look, lads, best of luck. Come back to us.
I think the sample size, it's a tough one because the sample size is really small.
Yeah.
For Tannehill.
Yeah. It is. I don't personally think there's a QB there that they could take. So that's why I go with what they actually need, leaning towards cornerback, edge rushers, and offensive line. Just build out their offensive line. You know, they've one or two good players on the line, but you know, if there was a player available, you could still take them. So we're throwing it over to Graham, and he gets to make the pick, and I can't believe the draft has fallen like this. Mr. Wilson Sr. will be looking with bright eyes at his youngest son and going, make me happy, make me proud. So Graham, you're picking for the Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
Okay.
Should we patch him in so he can?
Yes, Mr. Wilson, I do have your son on the line here. Yes,
He's
I will
never
pass
even-
on that regard.
He's never even heard of Skype.
Oof, man.
See, it's tough for the Packers in this area because
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
some
are easy.
I've said for a long time that the Packers need wide receivers. They cannot ask Aaron Rodgers to throw to guys pulled off the street. I mean, at the moment, Alan Lazard is their second wide receiver, and my dad is pretty much the same. He's pulling his hair out over it. They tend to stay away from wide receiver talent. And goodness, we've had quite a run on wide receivers, which I think is absolutely correct. I think we could see as many as 8 go.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm killing time here, so goodness. The Packers are also ideal candidates to trade back. Packers love trading back, picking up second, third, fourth round picks. Wouldn't be surprised to see them move back at all.
Yes, Mr. Wilson, I'll tell him you want a defensive player.
Yeah, goodness. Yeah. Inside linebacker would be good. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, they always say, never leave daddy.
let's say, for instance, that they don't get Brian Bulaga done. With the 30th pick in the NFL draft, the Green Bay Packers select Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, USC.
Okay.
That is a solid pick, and I was literally had just clicked on his name on my board. Makes total sense for them to go with him here. I'd another offensive tackle potentially that they could have gone after, and I don't think there'd be much of a difference between the two of them. So
it would be between. We'll not give the game away, but I think we're both thinking of the same player out of Houston.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, at this point, with the 49ers, I think I sent you all guys the thing I was running through, looking at the 49ers draft stock. They are one of the lowest in this year's draft. So I have no doubt, if I was the 49ers GM at this point, I'd be trading out of the first to get more stock. Because they literally, if they kept this pick, they've got to go over 100 picks before they get to their next pick.
Yeah.
Then they get one more, and then the rest of their picks are in round 6 and 7.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally agree.
it's dire. It is dire for the 49ers in this year's draft. Saying that, it's defensive back that they're really in need for. So at this point, I would trade out of the first if I was the 49ers. I'm into the second round, but obviously we can't do that with trading down. Yeah. But I'm going to go cornerback, make the defense still that cornerstone strength of what the 49ers have been. I mean, the good news for the 49ers is they haven't got a huge need. They were at spots where they could do with strengthening, but I'm going to continue to strengthen the defense, take a cornerback, and I'm going Jeff Gladney from TCU.
Yeah. Again, that makes total sense.
Yeah. He's making a lot of waves, and he's creeping up a lot of people's boards. So that could taking him there could prove to be a steal.
It's a nice pick, yeah. It's probably the best way to go. I mean, this is a guy who's just got quick feet. You know, he's quick feet. He's agile. He's got good hands. He's got good speed, good cover skills. Obviously, because of that. So yeah, I mean, it's everything that the 49ers could ask for at that. If they were to stay there at that position, but I don't see it. If I was the 49ers, I'd be looking at my draft stock going, what the hell? Yeah. And just trading down like crazy. I would even go as far to say, if depending where I traded down into the second, I'd look to try and trade down again, just to try and get as much stock as I can. Because, I mean, they literally are, I think, out of the 32 teams, I think they rank 30th in draft stock. So that's dire. But yeah, it's on to the last pick with Jamie and the Chefs.
Do you know what? Do the Chiefs really have many needs? This essentially is a luxury pick for me. This team could dominate for years. Looking how the board's kind of fallen, I'm kind of going to. They made a move late last year to strengthen up the defensive side of the ball. The guy that picked up, cracking player, but he's not going to be around forever, unfortunately. So with the 32nd pick in the UK Cowboys mock draft, I'm going to try and get this guy's name right. The Chiefs select AJ Epenesa, is it, from Iowa, defensive end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was you thinking, Mike?
Me, Jonathan Taylor, running back. From Wisconsin. That guy, I mean, I'm surprised he's got this far down, but I mean, it's just because the way it goes in the first round. But you imagine Jonathan Taylor with Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that would be killer. It's not so much that they're missing a running back, but I just think that with this far down, very bottom of the first, still there, take that guy, punch him into your offense. You've just made
so.
Stronger again.
It's more of a luxury pick for me, like I say, because there's.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen, or I can remember anyway, that a team that has kind of obviously has picked this low, but has got no glaring needs. Sometimes you'll see a Super Bowl winning team that could need to patch up here, there, everywhere, but this team they're going to be scary to watch for the next few years.
I mean, the other thing you could do at this point was a guy you even mentioned was from Auburn, Noah Igbine.
Yeah.
He's a guy who would fit as well, The fact that he's there in the first is good. It's good for the Chiefs. But like you say, I mean, it's not like there's glaring needs with the Chiefs. It's more, like you say, luxury filling that back up.
Well, to be fair, I could see him probably trading out, and then they say
he could.
If one of them QBs falls, like say if the Pats don't, or even the Saints don't take him, but somebody coming in at the back end there and thinking, do you know what, it's not going to take much to move up. So let's go and just nab him, like the Ravens did a few years ago with Jackson. They went back in, didn't they? And looks like they got an absolute steal where it was worth the trade up.
Yeah. But excellent. I think that's quite a decent first mark. We'll have to do another one, I think, as time moves on.
That actually concludes our first round mock, and I've just looked at my board. There is one glaring name who did not get drafted.
I think I know who this is actually.
Yeah.
LSU by any chance?
Is Jerry now absolutely burning a phone line up to Cincinnati? For the fact that Grant Delpit did not get picked in the first round.
Blacklock's still there.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd just be Jerry. I think there'd be a lot if he falls out of the first round. I think you're going to see a bidding war for somebody to jump up that top end of the second round.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bengals historically are very reluctant to trade picks at all. They don't. They rarely, if ever, answer the phone. So if I'm the Bengals, I'm looking for a future first at least for that pick, as well as something during the day two of this year. Delpit he's a premium player, potentially a luxury player, but they definitely they can name their price on him.
I just wonder, from just like things that I've heard, if he's a first round pick. I mean, he is somebody at that position that you could say that the 49ers at 31st could have taken. That works for them, but I don't know. From what I've heard, even Dane Bugler's saying the same thing. He's not sure if even the top two safeties of this draft are worthy of a first round. And the more I look at it, the more I tend to agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
It must be nice having the 33rd because you can go home, have a sleep on it, reset your board, see who's fallen, and you can have all night to think about it as well. Obviously, we're not looking at the 33rd and we don't ever want to be picking there, but it must be nice. Must be nice.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if we look back at 2016, that was the highest we've picked in recent years. We picked 36th, wasn't it? And the two players available to us were Miles Jack and Jalen Smith. And I think everyone expected us to pick Miles Jack because he could play straight away. I suppose that, time is and hindsight are great things, but I suppose we've probably gotten the better player with Jalen. But you reset your board, think about it overnight, and see what you have. Like, I mean, the other couple of names that I could see on the board, Graham mentioned one of them there. Obviously, Josh Jones, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Mike mentioned running back Jonathan Taylor. You also have J.K. Dobbins still on the board.
J.K. Dobbins, yeah.
And
Cam Akers. Cam Akers is really he's
coming up a lot.
At the moment, Daniel Jeremiah has Ross Blacklock labeled 19th overall.
Yeah, there's still nothing wrong with the guy. He's really good.
Yeah. But I think we'll wrap it up, gentlemen. I think we've comprehensively dissected this first round. So obviously, thanks to Jamie, to Mike, and to Graham, and thanks to Graham's dad for phoning me twice there to pick his son into making that pick of it was Austin Jackson. And obviously, just to let everyone know that hopefully we will be able to make connection with Ari Temkin next week from 105.3 The Fan, and spend some time with him, talk about the new CBA agreement, which will hopefully be signed off next Monday. Talk about the initial wave of free agency, hopefully a few new Cowboys contracts signed. Any wishes for the week ahead, gentlemen, before we wrap it up?
I'm just gonna get really drunk. I am.
Yeah, I've got my my cousin's little one turns 1, so we're at a birthday party at the weekend.
And I'm going to sit and work out who we're going to throw the ball to and who's going to keep the ball in the end zone for us.
There's that too.
And I'm secretly going to spend the whole weekend crying because I was warned before the show came on, if I mentioned someone being pick 17, Jamie was going to hang up. So I'm going to be crying into my number 38 jersey as Jeff Heath walks out the door of the Star. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, good night, and thanks to everyone, and see you soon.
See you next time.